week in pro wrestling history, WCW prevented their Sin pay-per-view on January 14th, 2001. The show was originally intended to be the first pay-per-view of the Fusion Media Ventures era. What the fuck are we doing here, Pasty?
I don't know.
What the fuck is going on with us?
I don't know. We're so close yet so far from the end, too.
I'm sorry. I've lost it. I've just lost it. I gotta take a second. I'm sorry, folks.
Ray Phoenix has appeared to have suffered some sort of neck injury after a pile driver during his match against Joey Janela.
You skipped the first one. You know that, right?
No, I screamed the Rich Swan one at you.
Okay.
While you were, yeah. It's out there.
I probably did. Okay,
I got
it's out
through the
there.
whole thing.
I don't know where the fuck we're at.
Ray Phoenix appeared to have suffered some sort of neck injury after a pile driver during his match against Joey Janela on this week's Dynamite.
Woo.
After the match, Phoenix had to be helped to the back.
Poor Ray. We like you, Ray. You're a good man. OVE's Madman Fulton suffered a shoulder injury towards the end of his match with Ken Shamrock at Hard to Kill. Shamrock noted after the match that he never wants to see anyone get hurt, but he's so glad that he fucked this motherfucker up, and he hopes he sees him in motherfucking hell.
It was really fun seeing him plead with the ref that he can complete the match when his arm was completely and totally dislocated. You could tell.
Right.
It was hard to watch, but it was so good. And then he didn't jam it into the corner or a barricade to put it back in. Like, what the fuck? That rookie mistake right there.
Come on now. Pasty, I'm gonna preface
for this.
No. I'm gonna preface this right now. I'm gonna preface this saying, folks, I think this may be the most wrestling, like major, like all three of these are major wrestling deaths. There's been
suck
three.
All the fun out of the podcast right here, right now.
Fuck! Why'd you make me laugh, you fucker?
No, you're not supposed to have any fun.
I know we've had such a good time, but honestly, it's been rough. No, it's been good, but I think this 3 is at least the most we've had, but I don't even remember 3, but we might have in the past. So we have a distinctive obituaries segment. I'm going to start off, Pasty, with this one. There's 3 of them here. They're all major. It's not even like there's no minors in here. The first one, some of you might not understand, but if you're 80s and 90s wrestling fans, you truly will miss him. So without any fun beef stick shit that we like to do, I'm just going to bust it out here. First one we have is Kazuo Sakurada, also known as Kendo Nagasaki. He passed away at 71 years of age.
Man, that was totally made by Vince McMahon, right?
You would think so, but not. Died at 71 years of age after his pacemaker stopped. So he was living on borrowed time already. Battery didn't recharge. There you go. This is according to reports coming from Japan. To give you a little backup for those of you who don't know of Kendo Nagasaki, debuting in 1971, Sakurada was actively wrestling, but 30 years later, he wrestled until mid-2001, Pasty. 30 years, 3 decades. Actually, into 4 decades, but 3 decades of wrestling. He's best known for his samurai warrior gimmick in the 80s and 90s. He used a kendo stick, he wore face paint, and he utilized, quote, the mist, such as made famous by the Great Kabuki, Great Muda, and even now Asuka. Getting his start in Japan, Sakurada made his way to Puerto Rico, the U.S., and Canada, working in numerous territories, including WWC of Puerto Rico, Stampede Wrestling of Canada, and Florida Championship Wrestling, where he won the NWA Florida Heavyweight Championship. He then returned to Japan in 1990 to finish out his pro wrestling career. Now, Pasty, a lot of folks listening to this might not know the name Kendo Nagasaki, even though he did make his way around. He was pretty big back in the day. If you're into wrestling within the mid-'70s to the mid-'90s, you did know him. But if you didn't, let me tell you how you may still be connected to him. During his time in Stampede Wrestling, Sakurada was considered a trusted man to Stu Hart, and even had a hand in training Bret Hart. In fact, and this is where it comes in, Pasty, in a 2015 interview with WWE, Bret Hart mentioned Sakurada as one of his most influential trainers, right up there with his dad, Stu Hart. So rest in peace, Kazu Sakurada, also known as Kendo Nagasaki.
Yes. Moving into the next AAA.
We've got a Japanese, a Mexican, and the United States. It's like, wow, we're hitting them all up here, right?
Yep, those are the only 3 countries in the world.
Oh shit.
AAA's La Parca, real name Jesus Alfonso Escoboza Huerta, passed away Saturday due to injuries sustained in the ring at 55 years young. His injuries originally came from a suicide dive performed during a match back in October. He went headfirst into the bottom of a guardrail, which required immediate surgery for a neck and cervical fracture, along with a repair to fractured vertebrae. La Parca then had renal failure on January 10th and was put back on assisted breathing, but then suffered lung and kidney failure and ultimately death on January 11th, where the doctors determined he had committed suicide. Sorry, guys, I had to do that one.
It was a suicide dive. Come on.
Dive.
How do you not make that joke? It's Beef Sticks Podcast. You should expect it.
Yes. Might be too soon, but it's one of those things. If it crosses my mind,
not for Beef Sticks. It's not too soon for Beef Sticks. You do it proudly, Pasty.
All right, I'm just looking forward to what you have to say about Rocky then. Huerta made his AAA debut in 1995 of Caris La Momia, a mummy gimmick named after
Caris Le Momia.
Caris Le Momia. That was close-ish. A mummy gimmick named after Boris Karloff's Mummy from the 1940s Universal Film Series. By 1996, AAA megastar La Parca began working for full-time for World Championship Wrestling, which meant that AAA had lost one of its most popular performers. Since AAA owner Antonio Pena had created...
Pena.
Shut up. Had created
he's a legend. Say his name right. It's Pena.
Pena, like a colada. It's spelt the same.
There you go.
Had created the character and owned the rights to it in Mexico. He decided to create La Parca Jr. as a way to capitalize on the popularity of La Parca. In early 2003, the original La Parca joined CMLL and AAA's main rival, and as a result, Antonio Pena took the legal action against Adolfo Tapia. That's a confused name. half German.
Adolfo Tapia.
Barring him from using the name La Parca or wear the signature skeleton suit in Mexico. After taking action against Tapia, La Parca Jr. became known officially as just La Parca, making him the second version of La Parca. The original now goes by L.A. Park and is currently a star in MLW.
This is very sad. If you're morbid enough, like Pasty and myself and many other people, we do have the GIF of La Parca's suicide dive on our Facebook page. I don't have it.
For the record, we also did share that before he died.
Yeah, a long time ago before he died. Of course, yeah. Because none of us thought that would happen. I mean,
No.
it was a gruesome injury, but it wasn't a like.
I remember saying to myself, "God damn, that could kill a man."
Yeah, it's one of those things. You know, they say pro wrestling isn't ballet, and it's true. And you see, sometimes the craziest, most insane moves are the easiest to take, and sometimes the simplest moves just yeah. So obviously it's on there. We reposted it, the gif of it, many moons ago. We wish the best for him. I'm not going to sit out here and lie, and I do have to. I have to say it up front. I always thought that he was a poser and did not deserve the La Parka name, because although he was a very good wrestler, I thought he was miles behind the original La Parka. I didn't think he was nowhere near the German Mexican Adolfo Tapia.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to lie about that, but at the same time, I never want to see anybody die a painful death, let alone a wrestler die.
Get there.
Yeah, let alone something that happened in the ring and then you suffer for months. I mean, that's just horrible, awful, and yeah, and again, just to rephrase, because there's been so many people who've been misled, the original La Parka is still alive in wrestling. This was the second La Parka. Moving on to seconds, somebody who was the first was Rocky Johnson, and he passed away also at a very young age of 75. He had been sick for a couple of weeks, Pasty, and it seems that he thought he caught the flu, but he refused to go to the doctor. Well, he ended up passing away in his home at Lutz, Florida. The man born Wade Douglas Bowles in Nova Scotia back in 1944. He ended up beginning his wrestling career at the age of 16, Pasty.
Damn.
16, and he became a top star in the National Wrestling Alliance. Yes, folks, the NWA in the 1970s. He had won multiple regional NWA titles, traveling through the territorial system and wrestling alongside legends such as Harley Race, Terry Funk, and Jerry Lawler. But Johnson's biggest success came from his work as a tag team specialist, something that he had also had a personal impact on his life. He performed as a tag team with famed Samoan wrestler High Chief Peter Maivia, and it was through that relationship, Pasty, that Johnson actually met his wife, Maivia's daughter, Ata Maivia, with whom he had a son, Dwayne, back in 1972. Johnson's tag team skills also worked to his advantage when he joined the WWF in 1982, as he broke through when he teamed up with Tony Atlas to form the tag team called the Soul Patrol. Together, the two defeated the Wild Samoans back in November 1983 to become the very first African-American tag team to win the WWF Tag Team Championships. Johnson retired from wrestling in 1991, and he started training his son. He trained his son to be the most electrifying man in sports entertainment history, Pasty.
Yes, indeed. It's been a rough week.
It's been there's been a lot of negative this week.
Yeah.
Just look at our news feed.
Mm-hmm.
Not only all of the deaths, but then you got the racism and
That's about it.
That's about it. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. So did you check out that Dave Benoit's shit with Chris Van Vliet, that interview?